The Celtics finally did it. They broke up their championship core. There was a lot of question marks whether they would or wouldn't. And lo and behold, here is the trade. The Boston Celtics have traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. So Holiday was traded to Portland for Damian Lillard, and then the Celtics gave up Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams to get him. So, essentially the Celtics get off of him. And, the shooting wasn't great this season. But we all know he's probably the overall better player than Simons. But Simons, on an expiring deal, he's 9 years younger than him, and he makes way less money. So, and he can shoot. So, Antoine, I know you're a big Simons guy. Your thoughts on this move? Because a lot of people on Twitter were like, what are the Blazers doing? So explain.
I think that was the same question for me, because when I woke up this morning and saw that, I thought that was fake until I checked the chat. But I think it's an ultimate fleece from Boston, because
Stop trying to sound. I'm sorry. Stop trying to sound like a Boston guy.
Wait, not only
no, it's Boston.
Not only do you
it.
get Anthony Simons, who I think is one of the up and coming stars in this league at point guard, because we talked about him going to the Magic before they got Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
Which is now off the table. Going to Boston is probably the second best option, because we were talking about a point guard, either whether from Ja to other guys. Now it's Anthony Simons, presumably. And definitely probably would re-sign him, because if he does work out, which hopefully he is going to work out, I would assume so. And you get 2 second-round picks as well for just Jrue Holiday. I don't know if Portland just wanted to offload Anthony because how crowded their backcourt is with Scoot, Shannon Sharp, a bunch of other guys. You bring in Jrue. Presumably, I think he's the mentor for Scoot, because you want to get Scoot to be where he's at as a lottery pick, a future point guard, face of the franchise. But now Jrue doesn't want to be there, apparently, according to reports. I don't know. I think Portland got themselves into another type of mess. Maybe they move Jrue.
They probably will.
They definitely
there's going to be a desperate contender. I'm not going to name names, Phoenix, but they'll give up I'm telling you, I tweeted this out the other day. If the Suns trade Ryan Dunn for Jrue Holiday, they need to fold.
They're not going to do that.
They better not.
That would be
that
insane.
dumb. They're dumb.
It's bad enough that they traded away Tamani Kamara for Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah.
That was
was
flagrantly
insane.
bad. If
They had
they
no
do it
idea.
again,
Yeah.
Ryan Dunn is going to be great as far as defensively. He's going to make a lot of all defensive teams if he stays healthy. And if they do this, I genuinely won't know what to say. But, Gio, looking now at Boston, what do you think Simons can bring to this team?
Man, this is I don't know. I mean, I feel like the pickup seems a little redundant. I feel like Derek White and Anthony Simons kind of do the same thing almost. They're both like light-skinned guards, right? They're no, seriously.
Anthony Simons is more dynamic.
He's a lot more,
Derek White's pretty daggone dynamic.
Derek White is like an anomaly, but Anthony Simons is like way more athletic.
Yeah, he's more
he's
athletic.
a high flyer. He can jump out the gym, but isn't having like that kind of they both like Jalen Green and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. They are all shooting guards. They do the same thing.
You're right.
These two can play point. Kind of reminds me of Hallie and Andrew Nemhard.
Okay.
Because they both can handle the ball. They both can play make, but they also can score at will.
You know what? That's true. That's a good point you bring up, because I never, before the Andrew Nemhard Hallie combo, I never really was big on like a 2-guard lineup where both players can both play point guard.
Even the Nets with Kyrie and Harden.
Well, I guess before that then. Before that. Because I feel like it never really worked out.
That's true.
Until then. So, I mean, maybe the Pacers put the NBA onto something new and good.
Oh, they definitely did. The way they play it's infectious.
Yeah.
The teams want to slow the pace down a little bit because they just had 3 Achilles injuries, but the way they play, I think, is the method here. Pace and space is going to take a little bit of a step back, and you'll get more pure basketball. But here's the beauty of this trade. They don't need to keep Anthony Simons if it doesn't pan out. He's not an expiring deal. Someone's going to want him at the deadline if things don't work out. And it almost seems like the Celtics are punting this season away without Tatum anyways. So if he plays well and the Celtics are, let's say, a 5 seed in the East, which they very well could be, you could easily get yourself back a late first-round pick from, let's say, OKC if they're a little bit banged up on a championship hangover, or San Antonio if they're trying to just get that little extra oomph to get into the playoffs, or there's going to be a market for Anthony Simons, and I think they'll be able to get something in return for him. I think the return they would get for him is going to be better than what, they had to give up for Jrue Holiday.
I mean, we'll get into the second Boston trade later, but I do think that ties are with the punting, and it's kind of crazy because they could tank and end up with a top 5 pick next year, top 3, get AJ DeBanster or someone else that's really good, and just have a big. And also, Jaylen Brown's in trade talks too.
Yeah, he is.
He very well probably. I think he probably is going to get traded by the time this episode comes out.
That the whole team is gone.
Wow.
So you're just rebuilding, and just Tatum comes back a year after, and you have a top 3, top 5 overall pick, maybe even other stuff, depending on what happens. But
yeah,
I think that they're the new owners coming in, they kind of just see this now. Probably they got to break it up.
Well, that's why, because the Grusbecks didn't care because they knew they were selling the team, so they're going to try and win as much as possible. And now you've left yourself in a situation where you sold the team, you lost your best player for a year. Bill Chisholm, I think, just wants to make money. So I think
put the team in a better spot.
Exactly, because he doesn't want to deal with the cap restrictions and the CBA and stuff like that. This is all second apron related, and this is why the new CBA exists. Unfortunately, as much as we all hate it, to prevent super teams like this from being formed and everything like that.
Yeah, and plus they re-signed that whole starting 5 besides KP.
Exactly.
So
what would we grade this trade for both teams?
I mean, I think it's an A- for Boston.
Yeah.
Portland, I would say C+. I don't know. They got nothing else. Not even a pick. Return.
They had to give up 2 seconds.
That's what I'm saying. Not even
C-.
1 second pick back.
I mean, Holiday's the better player, so they had to give up more to get him.
He's also 87 years old.
That's exactly.
He's
my
like 35.
point.
Yeah, he's 87.
For them taking on an older player, they should have at least asked for another second.
That's fair, yeah.
Or just another bench player.
Right.
Somebody that they could have moved on.
I can almost say 100% Jrue Holiday's out of there. So
yeah.
I'm not going to give it. I'm not even going to grade it yet because there's no way he's going to play the full season with the Blazers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave that alone. But for the Celtics, I'll give it an A-.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to give A- for the Celtics. For Portland, there's room for improvement with this trade because they can still flip him. So I'll give it a B- for now.
Fair.
Let's get into the next big trade. This is the final one, at least as of right now. If anything else happens, we'll talk about it afterwards. The Celtics did it again. The Celtics broke up another piece of their championship core. Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Atlanta Hawks. Terrence Mann and the 22nd pick in this year's draft goes to the Brooklyn Nets, and Georges Niang and 1 second-round pick goes to the Boston Celtics. So, Tingus Pingus, Tingly Pingly, Tingle Pingle, however you want to call him.
Hey, yo, bro.
He is finally off the Boston Celtics on an expiring contract, obviously. What do we think, Antoine? Thoughts on this trade? A Trae Young, Tingus Pingus combo.
I mean,
what
yeah. I after Jrue, I was like, it's KP next. Presumably, Jaylen Brown maybe after as well.
I thought he would have been first.
KP first?
Yeah, I thought he would have been traded first.
That's fair.
You knew it the whole time, though, right?
Yeah,
I saw it.
he
But
definitely knew.
the Hawks were not on my radar at all. It's kind of crazy because,
Surprised.
but they didn't need a center. If he stays healthy, it's phenomenal. But we know the injury history with KP. It's a long list.
Yeah.
Brooklyn wins this trade because you got another first-round pick. They have 5 first-round picks. That's a 6th of the first round for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And they get Terrence Mann, who Atlanta acquired at the deadline.
Terrence Mann's ass.
Boston also gets Georges Niang, who was their other acquisition at the deadline. They're both gone now.
Yeah. Well, no, they still have Karis LeVert.
Isn't he free agent?
I think he's a restricted free agent, but I'm not sure. They have his bird rights, so they can re-sign him easily.
But yeah, their bench is thin, but, you lose some, you win some. They get a nice center, finally, because Capella's days are over. We know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Okongwu is probably going to go back to that bench role now. KP comes in.
Name me the starting 5.
Well, it's Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Reese Haché,
Okay.
Jalen Johnson, and KP.
That's a pretty good starting 5, if you ask me.
Look, it's not going to win you a championship, but remember, this is the East.
Yeah.
They have a good chance of making a deep run here.
I agree.
That's what
if
I'm
other
saying.
teams get hurt. And
Yeah.
For Atlanta, I mean, I'm sorry, this just seemed like a desperation move. I really hope Trae Young requests out at some point because this team is full of. I mean, Trae Young himself doesn't stay healthy very often. Dyson Daniels is finally healthy now that he's out of New Orleans, but Reese Shea is kind of built like me, doesn't have that strength yet, so hopefully he stays durable. Jalen Johnson's been injured every season of his career, and we all know the injury history with Kristaps Porzingis. So I don't know necessarily how this roster can pan out. I hope they're all healthy, knock on wood, going forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Boston, this was finally they did something wrong. I don't know what they were thinking. Like Georges Niang in a second. Like, look, Georges Niang is an okay bench player. He was good in Cleveland last year. He was okay in Atlanta, but I don't know.
I don't know how Brooklyn got that first. They just went to Boston.
Oh my gosh, Sean Marks, you are starting to make me apologize to you, my brother. I am so happy because not only do I like the upside of Terrence Mann, who has not been great over the past couple of years. I said he's been allergic to buckets.
You literally used to love Terrence Mann.
Yeah, but he let me down so hard. So
but now he's in Brooklyn.
Because he should have been traded from LA way prior to that.
Yeah.
That's true.
He should have been moved because we all remember in 2021 when they made the conference finals run against the Jazz, he was insanely good. My guy was on a heater. He dunked on someone. I think it was either on Rudy Gobert or it was Derek Favors. It was one of the two.
Probably Rudy Gobert.
But Rudy Gobert, look, he's better than you, Gio. But anyways, I like the fit with Terrence Mann if he stays. We might flip him.
Yeah.
Which I'd rather do because
of course.
If you want to give me, 6 first-round picks in this year's draft, I'd gladly take that.
Yeah,
but one thing I do not want us to do, Brooklyn Nets, Sean Marks, do not trade up into the top 5. Don't do it. Please do yourself a favor and just be happy with the 5 or 6 picks you're going to get and draft the players. It's like if you want to package together 22 and 29 and move up to like 18, fine, but don't trade into the top 5 because it's pretty clear that one of Fears or Malawatch is falling to us, or Ace Bailey could potentially fall to us as well. We're gonna get the guy we want at 8. I'm confident of that. I just don't want them packaging together 8 and 22 and moving into the top 5. I just don't want any part of that.
Okay. I would say you just package up and get back in the top 10, not top 5, and take 2 top 10 picks.
I mean, we could. It's just I don't know if there's anyone else that's really enticing to us.
If Concaneple's there,
he's gonna be gone by then.
Take him.
I think he's gonna be
see.
gone. He's gonna go top 7. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
But look, the East will run through Jordy Fernandez in a few years. Just you wait. He'll get the extension soon, and I'm loving even more the situation we're in. Obviously, would I have liked to get into the top 5? Yes, but this is going to be the summer for Brooklyn. You're going to essentially help facilitate 3-team trades. You're going to do what Utah did. Remember, we all saw. Remember the Luka trade broke the internet, but Jalen Hood-Schifino and the Jazz logo was on every single picture of the trade details. Be relevant by helping teams out, and then just draft gems in the lottery or in the late first round, and then you get better from there.
Yeah.
And the one thing a lot of these good up and coming teams were missing, like Washington, for example, is that guy as a head coach. And Jordy Fernandez is that guy. And I'm really excited for the future of Brooklyn. And kind of going back to the Boston thing, they're just punting this season away without Tatum. This really all depends now on what happens with Jaylen Brown, because I have no idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we see him gone by Monday or a little during our live stream, we're going to see a whole new roster. The Celtics don't have a center because Al Horford's a free agent right now. I guess they have Luke Cornett, but
solid.
They might bring Al Horford back. Who knows?
They probably will.
And then just run out that team with Anthony. And that's it. See what else. When Jaylen Brown goes, we'll see what they get for him.
So what are you rolling out a lineup of Simons, Derek White. As of right now, Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Al Horford, Luke Cornett.
Ooh, that's just like compared to what it was. It's a little unfortunate.
And don't forget, if Jaylen Brown goes, you're getting probably like 2 or 3 good players back.
Right.
Oh, well, if Jaylen Brown goes, you're getting back probably at least 3 firsts because he's on a super max.
And a decent player.
A really good player. So right now, someone obviously Tatum can't play. So I'm trying to find a lineup. Someone said start Niang question mark. Please don't.
Oh, I would. That's crazy.
Please
I
don't.
would start Niang.
They should flip him.
I would start Niang.
They should flip him.
For who though? They're
Just
not going to get anything
For
for him.
Fournette.
know,
For
but-
Fournette.
You could, but
he's
I don't
so
know.
bad.
The Celtics just need a power forward right now to survive without Tatum. I think that's really what they need. And who knows who could be available up until that point. But what do we grade this trade, guys?
Well, for Boston, they could have gone more.
They got
Yeah.
fleeced high key.
I'm gonna go C, straight C. Brooklyn gets an A just for that first round pick, for no any reason.
We gave up nothing too.
Exactly.
We
That's
literally just-
exactly why I'm saying you got a first round pick for nothing.
Well, we got the first round pick because we're taking on Terrence Mann's expiring.
Yeah,
That's why.
too. And Atlanta, I would go B plus. They got a really good upside player if he's healthy, and that was their only weak spot in their starting five. So they upgraded.
That's fair, yeah.
You know. I'd
Yeah,
give it a B plus.
I'm gonna go C for Boston as well. C minus actually, and for Atlanta, I'm gonna go with a B minus because he's very injury prone, Porzingis,
Yeah.
and obviously Nets A.
I like that.
I
like
will.
that from
I
you.
will close on this. Leon Rose, take notes on these trades. You can do it. It took Boston 12 hours to dismantle their entire championship roster with no issue. We can do the exact same thing with the players we want to move. Just work the phones and move these players out.
I mean,
no hope.
Boston's in a much different situation than y'all are.
Well, the only players I would move are Josh Hart, Cat, Mitchell Robinson, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah,
Stop
but
slamming the table, bro.
Sorry.
like Boston's without their best player, and they're also way more over the cap than the Knicks are. The boss, like, just getting rid of Holiday and Porzingis alone shaved like 200 mil off the cap sheet. So that's why they did it. The
Yeah,
Knicks aren't in that kind of trouble yet, but give it time when Mikal Bridges gets extended and everything like that. But I mean, for me, Boston, this is just not it. Like, this is a straight C. This is like a rare Brad Stevens L after
Yeah.
fleecing the Portland Trailblazers literally like 16 hours before that.
Yeah.
For the Hawks, I'll give this a B plus. I was going to give it an A, but there's a lot of risk considering how injury prone Porzingis is. For Brooklyn, this is an A. Like, this is as good as you can get.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, you know, we don't expect much from Sean Marks anymore. But like, my man woke up. Hopefully, this is the first of many of these good trades, and we'll just hope for the best.